It's at 44. You ready? It's at 44 in Kings Highway. I love it. Every other week. I love it. Oh, you could pick it up on the way home from work. I love it. Are we ready? We ready? Okay. Oh. Good evening and welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting for July of 2025. Kelly, could you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Goad.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderman Erger.
Here.
All members are present.
Okay, are there any changes or adjustments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll approve it by acclamation. Citizen comments. Are there any citizens here or online who would like to speak? You'll be given up to 3 minutes. I ask that you state your name and address.
There's no one online.
Okay, thank you. Report of committee chair and alder people. I have no report. Alderwoman Goad?
No report.
Alderman Gould?
No report.
Alderman Erger?
No report.
Okay, next that takes us to the investment report. Do we have Brad? Oh, there's Brad. Hi, Brad.
Hello, everybody. Happy summer.
Happy summer.
Thanks for having me. I'll hop right in. You, I believe, have a 2-page document in front of you like you've seen before. On the first page at the very bottom, you will see all investment earnings. This number has actually been staying the same. It's always, that'll be static, but I figured I'd just give it to you anyways. Everything that you all have earned through our relationship from essentially July of 2018, which is when we started some of these funds, and then they've kind of changed, some added, some lost. But since July of 18 until the beginning of 2024. And so that number there is $2,745,000. In addition, then we started doing it annually beginning last year. So all of 2024, you see that you have earned $728,000, and those funds have changed a little bit. Some of the bond proceed accounts have gone away. You've added the general fund account there. And then at the very top, that section, so far year to date in 2025, you have earned in the 2017, 18, and 19 bond reserve fund accounts, along with the general fund account, $370,000. So that's where you're at so far for the year. In total, that equates to about $3,843,000 of interest earnings over that period of time. If you look at page 2, that's just that rolling chart that I like to show you, where you can kind of see monthly earnings every month in the given year. So you see that we're averaging roughly $61,000 in interest earnings on a monthly basis, and that comes out to that $370,000 I had reported to on the prior page.
Great. I have one question that may be more toward Michelle or maybe Brad. Could you talk a little about what of this is general fund proceeds and what of this is bond fund proceeds? Or is this, or maybe it's a Brad?
No, I can take this. If you look on the front sheet where it says general account / custody account, and the total interest earned for 2025 is right around that $229,000. And then it says general fund, and that's sort of a misnomer as well. For, the general fund through June has actually earned $145,000. The other part of that 229 is split between capital interest earned and park stormwater, because we pull all of our cash and then we reconcile it amongst the funds. But as far as what would we have available, which I think is your question, for operating and interest, falls in that general account custody account for interest earned. All of the others are the project funds, their COPs, their certificates of participation, and those types of projects, and the interest associated with those, which must only be earned and used within those.
Right. Yeah, I think we had somewhere along the way had a side conversation about that, and I just wanted to make sure that it was everyone understood that where these that all these dollars aren't just flowing into annual
Correct.
general
correct.
revenue.
The total of potentially the 2.4 million is not actually 2.4 at the very, or 2.7 at the very bottom of page 1, where you sort of see it in black, total for all 2.7 million. It is not interest that we have actually earned in the operating account that is available. So just to clear that up.
Great. We've earned a lot of money, but it's
Th-
just
that-
in
that is
the- in
correct.
in pots of money.
That is correct.
Other cool. Oh,
Money, but I will tell you that the investment of the debt service reserve fund, the interest earnings go into the reserve fund account. Every so often, the excess gets swept out of the reserve fund, the excess beyond what you're required to hold in there, and that goes to help make bond payments. So if you've got a little extra money going into helping make a bond payment, it should free up some extra general fund money that would have ordinarily had to been spent on bond debt service. So that kind of indirectly helps with general fund, with increasing the general funds.
good clarification. Other questions? Okay, thank you, Brad. See you next month.
Absolutely. If you guys would like, and I can get offline with Bola and Michelle, but in the future, if you want me to tweak this report for you to show more on the general fund totals, I can do that as well.
I mean, would anyone like to, I'm fine with this. I just wanted to clarify it, but I don't, if others would like to see that?
I mean, I don't think if it's easy enough to add to the report, I think it's good for the public knowledge to know what's actual part of general fund and what is tied up.
Okay. Great.
All right, well, I'll get with Michelle and Bola, and we'll figure out a way to best report that to you for the next meeting.
But I would say not a super high priority.
Yeah, it's not a high priority. So if this,
This
if this
is-
takes a while to do,
Let's
it's no
not
big
worry
deal.
about it if it's not just clicking a button and adding a line item.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay, next we come to financial statements for months ending both May and June. So I'm thinking this is Michelle.
Yes, I will take those. I would like to just announce before we get into the financial statements that we had discussed billing for trash at a previous meeting and starting to charge residents ahead of time. We are rolling that out and starting that as of August 4th.
This is the bulk
Bulk
trash.
pickup.
Bulk pickup.
Trash pickup, you were
Yes.
correct. Yes, bulk trash pickup, yes. So rather than sending the invoices after the items have been received. So if you hear discussions, rumblings, please let us know. We will be rolling that out as of August 4th.
Michelle, could you address what happens if, I think the term that Michelle Boyer used were if the pickers come and,
If you place an item out and it suddenly disappears before our trash individuals can get to it, say it's a grill and somebody else decides that they want it and you have paid for it, you will be reimbursed. So if you paid via credit card, Public Works has the ability to start that reimbursement via the credit card system through MyGov, or they'll submit a check request. They'll mark on there that the item wasn't there, it actually was. So we do have some mechanisms in place to make sure that should those things happen or mishaps occur, we'll do the reimbursements.
Great.
Perfect. Now on to the financials. As you indicated, there is May and June in there. We'll just sort of roll on up into June because they sort of all roll in together. The revenues and expenditures are in there. I did sort of upload a note in there. Once again, the sales tax looks like it's slightly below, stating 9%. But if you were to go down below to the adjustments and insurance and settlements, there is over 400,000. That is in relation to the closing of the TIFs and is actually sales tax. St. Louis County did describe it as an adjustment, so therefore we placed it in that category for the auditors, but it is associated with sales tax. It is running in line at right around less than 1%, not collected, but I still think we're on target for that. Any immediate questions on revenues? In the expenditure side, some of them are running higher, and that is due to the storms. They sort of have been noted in the categories in which that happened. Park and Rec for Davy tree service removal, some of theirs ran higher. The fire department for the mutual aid, those sort of ran a little higher. We're sort of coming up on those. Legal fees, that description is in there as well. I expect those to grow as well. But once again, nothing too alarming and nothing I don't think that you're not familiar with what may be driving those circumstances. Any immediate questions? No. Great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next, we have consent agenda. Are there minutes approved? Are there minutes?
No.
No,
all right.
okay. So we will skip the consent agenda and move on to old business. I think this is Michelle as well, discussion of the annual consumer price index.
Yes, we are starting to kick off the budget process internally and working with department heads, and we have put together the labor models, which really kind of drives how we hold our budget discussions. And last year, when we were in the compensation analysis and doing that study, it was sort of ran in conjunction with the budget, but it was towards the end of it, so we sort of asked that we run the CPI later than I think is useful. This request is, can we use the June CPI, which doesn't come out till July? Because I have now run the July CPI and the labor models based on that. And that helps me and BOLA and sitting with our department heads determining to keep things or cut things. So if that CPI changes in September, it really doesn't come out till October. And by then, we are really already in front of you. So if we can use the June CPI, which gets published in July, and then there was some internal discussion about, well, what happens if it actually increases and where there'll be any grumblings in regards to that. It actually gets captured in the synopsis of every year sort of rolling with the CPI. So once again, it really is just a functional tool for us and to make sure that we just choose the standard, keep the standard, and then make good decisions on that.
Questions?
I mean, I think it's
No.
a reasonable adjustment to the policy because, you know, by the time, if we kept it as August, then we wouldn't really have that information until later, too late in the budget process.
Or we would have to run it potentially significantly higher on our end for the estimates to make sure if it adjusted higher between June, July, August, just to potentially capture it, that we would have made potentially department heads cut things that potentially they might have been able to have if we just
Yeah, and-
sort of known
and,
what it was.
And as far as like, you know, if it raises
Right.
more than, it's still based on a 5-year average,
Yes.
right? So it's not like,
We don't ever.
it's not going to shift dramatically. Even if it does bump up a little bit, it's not it wouldn't change the average.
That was sort of our assumption as well, and just making the ask. It just makes it, once again, a little easier for us to sort of march through the budget process with a good, solid number and then an approach to it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, you know, publicly we state that
Yes.
it's a 5-year average, so it's not going to, one month is not going to adjust it that dramatically. So I guess I'd make a motion to approve the adjustment to the ordinance to accommodate what'd you say, the June?
Yes, yes, the June CPI for budget timing, yes.
Is there a second? Second. Do we need a voice, is a voice vote okay, or do we need to? Okay, all in favor?
All right?
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, and we'll go on to the board.
Thank you.
Next, we move to new business. First, we have the fire department and a video.
Yes, good evening. First, I'm excited to be here to discuss this opportunity and hope to answer any questions that you may have. So, prepared a memo that was attached. The fire department was contacted on June 30th by the IAFC, the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and their production company, inquiring if we would be willing to participate in a video, promotional video that would debut at Fire Rescue International. That is the IAFC's annual conference. And that is in 4 weeks from today. So extremely tight time frame. I will add that this is nothing that any department can apply for. This is nothing that departments plan for. The IFC makes all the contacts annually. I don't even know all of their criteria for reaching out. So in learning this information, Michelle Boyer and I met with the production company. It was more of an interview. They asked questions about some programs that we have going on. We provided some details and some highlights that we thought could be of value. And then at the end of that conversation is where they provided the price for production. It is $27,300, and it is the same price regardless of the size of the organization. Some agencies are rather large, and we are obviously the smallest. And so the impact is the greatest for the smallest. So with that, we met with staff. We came up with the plan that has been presented, and we do reserve the right for all final editorial control of the videos. There's a 5-minute video and a 1-minute video. And we also receive all of the raw footage that would be taken the day that they would come to the city. So due to the openings that we've experienced throughout the year, and we've had some higher earnings employees leave the department, I have this in salary savings. So that is what I am requesting, to reallocate those funds for the purpose of producing this video for the Brentwood Fire Department.
Questions? I have some questions, but I will turn it over. Go ahead.
How evergreen is this video going to be? Is it going to be very time specific, or is it a video that could have 5 years of use?
That is our understanding from the production company, that this video can be used for the years to come. Speaking with Michelle, that is the exact time frame that she gave, that she predicted we could use this video for the fire department and the city.
Obviously, as a communications committee chair, any opportunity for content is a good thing. I guess obviously would have loved to have had maybe a little bit more strategic discussion about whether or not an investment like that, what's it for the city. I did just through a process of searching and finding them, and I watched several of the production pieces that they've done, one for Branson and several others. They're well done, very well done. Long, obviously 5 minutes is pretty long. It struck me that it almost feels like it would be a fantastic opportunity next year after the fire training facilities done, and maybe a regional story to tell with shared resources across, So I think strategically I have a challenge with it because the timing of it's just not great. And, obviously, as we kind of look at almost $30,000, is that needed right now? With the people are we using it for recruiting? That it doesn't come from that event. That event is just being a showcase of stories, fire stories around the country. Where we get the benefit potentially with recruiting is being able to take that video and then share it out and cut up some of the other material into smaller segments potentially. So I see the value in that, but not an immediate value. We're still gonna have to take that and re-edit it and make it usable for the purposes of I would say more local recruiting opportunities. So I'm torn by this because it's a good opportunity. I almost wish we could say, hey, we've got a great story to tell next year. Give us the opportunity to do that and plan for it.
Sure. So obviously, we shared that story with our collaboration with the training tower. They're very interested, and what we have to offer are design drawings. The recruiting piece, I am very confident that makes an immediate impact because we're already under pressure for recruiting. And at this conference, every military installation which has a fire department, is represented at this conference.
Okay.
And targeting military personnel who have the skill set and are discharging in a short amount of time, that is a target audience that we are working on to recruit from. We have planned retirements over the next 4+ years, each year. So we know the recruiting efforts are going to need to be consistent. So that was some of our thought process with the recruiting piece being beyond local.
And this didn't come to, I guess because of timing, didn't come to public safety or anything.
Correct.
You know, or even communications committee last night. It would have been maybe a good thing to talk about, but, so that's why, because they just recently gave you the opportunity.
It is very close on timing, yes.
And it needs to be cut in 2 weeks. So if we were to go forward with this, you know, watching some of the other videos, it was really well produced. There was a lot of storytelling, a lot of engagement with city administrator, the chief, some of the other stories had a pretty significant production
Right.
day or days. In the next couple of weeks, is that the plan, that they
is
would
the
fly in and?
Yes, they would be on site for approximately 10 hours in one day. They intend to do it all in one day.
The mayor and, you know, all of these videos had like a pretty orchestrated cast of filming.
I don't know whether other members of the committee have had a chance to, you have, okay, review the other videos out there.
So as far, I mean, this is the hard cost of the edit. I want to also, if we do want to approve this, it's also going to be a committed day of, or more, of staff time dedicated to this.
Prepping before and then on the day of.
Correct.
Right.
And the whole fire department involvement.
Yeah.
So it's a commitment.
It is.
Which I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that it's not just they come and take some pictures. It's a production. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to take up all the
Oh, that's fine.
questions.
Well, so I have some questions. So I chuckled when it said Webb's Edge, who's producing the video, are the ones who says it's a good recruitment tool. Of course, they're going to say it's a good recruitment tool because they're making the video. I would be curious if you've talked to any of the other departments. Have they indicated that, like has Branson indicated that they've recruited anyone because of the video?
I did not reach out to Branson. I did speak with the chief from Colorado Springs, Colorado. We have a professional relationship, and he indicated they had so many applications, they closed early because of their number of applications. It's
We're not Colorado Springs, though.
Exactly. They have different, and each portion of the country has different recruiting challenges.
Right.
So, and requirements. Some have the ability to hire someone 21 years old with no education and training, and they pay for all of it. We don't have that luxury. So our target is slightly different there.
So my next question is about the expense of this. It's $27,300. Last year, you wanted a vehicle. I know that's capital, and this is general. That was $40,000. So if you just at the end of the year had $27,000 sitting around, like I don't know, somehow it seems like a truck that's going to last your staff a long time. Maybe a better way to spend that. I don't know, but it seems like a lot of money that was unplanned, that we don't really know what the outcome's going to be, that the communications committee hasn't talked about, the public safety committee hasn't talked about. I know there's a tight turnaround, but it seems like a huge expense to promote ourselves. And if we just wanted a video, I mean, maybe it needs to be shown there, but if we just wanted a video, is there someone who could produce a video that then you could use for recruitment purposes? And maybe other departments could also create videos that we could use for our own recruitment purposes that collectively for the whole city would cost this or less. So
So, in speaking with Michelle Boyer, we do not have the tools, the knowledge, or equipment to produce this video on our own. We have the ability to produce video, but not of this caliber. And so that is what grabbed her attention on this project. As far as reallocating funds, I take that to staff, and I get recommendations. I go through the budget process and request capital out of capital. So these funds, if they're not used, if the 27,300, it just goes back to general fund, or the fund balance, excuse me. So that's what happens in this year's budget.
Yeah. And then I guess my last question is, like, how am I going to tell a resident that we spent $27,000 on a video for one department that is already beloved by everyone in this town? Like, everyone loves you all. They love the fire department. They love the police department. Like, these are departments that, at least in town, don't need that kind of promotion. I appreciate that you need it for recruitment purposes, but it just seems like a lot of money for what the outcome is.
I would counter with the opportunity for economic development, especially on Manchester Road, that this video shares a piece, not just for the fire department, but for the entire city. That prospective businesses, prospective residents can see, we're ready. We're ready for improvements. We're ready for growth. We're ready to protect them. And so that is the value added that I see as fire chief on that.
And is that the story angle that you all talked about, is sort of prepping for future growth? And
So I don't have a script, but I can say what we provided to the company was to discuss our collaboration, and our collaboration to training, our collaboration with medical direction. Those are two big pieces where we've made an impact, we feel, across the region. In addition, health and wellness, our participation in the critical illness pool, our participation with peer support and mental health. And there's one more. So, but that's what we pitched to them to come back to us and have that conversation. I was expecting something today from Webb's Edge, and I did not receive that. But I can say if we don't approve it by Monday night board meeting, then we're out. I mean, it's too late at that point. So
Could I ask a question for Bola and maybe the other Michelle, who I don't think is...
she's not here.
She's not here, right? I can't see behind you. I mean, if we were going to do a video about Brentwood, would this be the topic?
This would certainly be one of. It would not be the only topic. It would have to be comprehensive, that talks about all the areas of the city, the services, what the fire department brings, what the police department brings, public works, parks, even administration staff, because their presence also makes this a well-run city. So, but we would have to target it in some way that whoever our audience is, they see value in every piece of that video, whether it's the economic development, whether we're trying to attract new businesses, or families, attracting new families with children to the city, or even partly the school district. So it would be comprehensive. That would include all aspects of the city. It wouldn't just...
So it just sort of feels to me like we're paying money to get an award. We're paying $27,000 to get this award because we're featured. And that's what it feels like to me. And maybe that's not exactly what it is, but it certainly feels like they find a department who's going to pay them, and then that department across the country gets the award every year.
Onboarding new firefighters is very expensive. And having tools to help us recruit quality people and continue to keep them in the mix is a target of mine, so.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask a follow-up question. Does it have to be this year? Because part of the storyboarding, part of the conversation on what we want to feature, if there's this money and it is left over at the end of the year, could we do this next year when we have time to really think through our messaging, think through the value proposition? Because part of this feels, to me, a little bit rushed, right? You guys are under the gun, they're putting pressure on you to lock something in, and it feels very rushed, because I am curious about, like, could we make 5 videos that are 1 minute each for each area? And maybe there's value to this, but it just feels very rushed. And could this be a conversation with communications for next year?
I can only offer that I can ask the question, but in our initial interview, we were selected and there's no application process. So, but I certainly can ask that question.
I guess that that's a great question to potentially ask them. I would also, I think Alderwoman Tice's, I think you mentioned it, reaching out to some of these other departments that have been featured and asking how they feel about the spend that they had with this and the value and benefit they received out of it. Like if we were to move this out of this committee because of the time sensitivity and give the full board the opportunity to have a discussion about this Monday, those are the things that I'd be looking for to try to resolve the concern that we have, that, is this the right spend of the money to do now? The other concern I have as it relates to longevity of it, we're in the process of potentially redoing branding. If we shoot a video that has a lot of Brentwood branding, it's gonna have a shelf life of whenever that, kicks in and all of that. So not to say that we couldn't, that may not affect too much the fire department's branding, but any other municipal stuff, anything footage that we have that might feature that would then need to be sort of cut around in order to make it have the longevity and evergreen nature. So, those are my thoughts. I feel like the opportunity, I would have loved to have had public safety have the opportunity to talk about this strategically. I would have loved to kind of talk about it last night. I guess what I'm suggesting this committee, if you all are willing, is that we make a motion to approve this discussion going to the full board, not necessarily approving the spend, but approving the action to take up to the full board level for discussion, just because of the time sensitivity of it. Normally, we'd say, all right, let's spend a couple things, meetings, talk about this on the committee level, but it almost seems, so I'm gonna make that motion that we forward this on to the board for discussion, not with an approval of the spend, but for the full board's discussion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. And just some comments too. Chief, I always happy to support you guys. But anytime an organization reaches out and says like, we want to feature you, but by the way, it's going to cost $27,000, it comes off the wrong way, right? And then, I don't know what the exact cost would be, but if we were really trying to push recruiting, I would think we could reach out to a third-party marketing firm and put together a video for, I don't know, maybe $5,000, $10,000, and get similar quality. I also say those things without realizing how big of an impact this video could have based on conversations with other municipalities. I'd be interested to hear like what Branson, how it went for them, and some other less showy places to live like Colorado Springs or something like St. Louis. So I'd support it, and I'd want to hear some feedback from other comparator cities, towns, etc. for Monday. Yeah.
I will certainly reach out. I know Chief Martin from Branson. I will reach out to him. finding small department, because that's what we would be considered their small department.
There were smaller municipalities that were featured in some of, and they've done this multiple years in a row. I
Right.
mean, there's a YouTube channel out there. You all can watch the stories. They're really well produced. It's sort of what I do on a daily basis. They're well done. It's just, and I
And
concur
especially with AI nowadays, you just put in a few videos and photos, and all of a sudden it spits out something pretty nice for you. And then the other thing I would consider thinking about between now and then is, and Nancy kind of hit on this, is if at the end of the year, if you had 27,000 left over, is this number one on the top of your list, or is there other things that you would look to expense on? So that's all I got.
Are there other comments? There's a motion and a second.
I'll just go ahead and echo it. Is this the right way you want to spend your money? I mean, if we have the money, there are many things you can make choices. So understanding, is this your choice with your funds if there's balance, but also just understanding the ROI on something that feels like it came to you, and it's not your doing that, it's rush timeline, but that does kind of, at that dollar amount, gives some initial pause. So I'd love some more information before I decide one way or another.
Thank you.
All in favor of forwarding it on to the Board of Aldermen without a recommendation? Please. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sounds like the ayes have it. Then next on our agenda is replacing the city phone system. So I think that might be Larry. Good.
So, the city's current phone system, it's ShoreTel, it was purchased in 2010. And it's,
Hey,
oh,
Larry.
is that better?
That's better.
Much better. I should know that, right?
You of all people.
So the city's current phone system is 15 years old, which is extremely old for a phone system. We generally give a 10-year useful life. Multiple issues with it. You can't even buy parts for it anymore. We're buying parts secondhand for the system just to keep it up and running. So in the fiscal year 25 approved budget this year, there was a line item in capital for $120,000 to replace this phone system. Earlier this year, we met with department heads and had discussion and kind of conducted a needs analysis, trying to find out what features would be required, what features would be nice to haves, and put all that information together and started contacting phone vendors. On the memo that I hope all you guys see, there were 4 vendors. It was Ring Central, GoToConnect, Snapcom, and Mitel. We went back, looked at the needs analysis. We conducted a 10-year return on investment for all 4 of these systems, and ultimately GoToConnect is, as far as the cost goes and meeting all of the needs or the requirements, was the best option for us. I followed up with some references on GoToConnect. I list them there, 2 cities in Missouri, and one of the references were in California. They were all very positive, would recommended. These same references also use Communications Technologies, Inc., which is the vendor that proposed the GoToConnect phone system with us. They were all very positive of using that as a provider as far as support goes after the fact in communications. As far as the financial impact, you could see a year 1 cost of around $54,000 with an annual subscription cost right at $24,000. That initial contract is for 5 years. If you printed off this a couple days ago, it was I had 3 years in there originally, and I realized I went back and read the contract again. It's actually for 60 months. So it's a 5-year initial contract term, and then they participate in the TIPS purchasing cooperative that the city of Brentwood has utilized in the past. And so we're looking to make that purchase through that TIPS purchasing cooperative as well. Was GoToConnect, Mitel was actually the cheapest option out of the 4. GoToConnect was the second cheapest option. But when you if you would look at our needs analysis and see where the boxes are checked, Mitel didn't check all the boxes. And one of the biggest reasons is, I'll call Mitel a traditional phone system. It's on premise. You get a handset. And while they do have some modern functionality like a mobile app, we actually deployed Mitel in the city of Richmond Heights last year, and the mobile app is a big disappointment. And most people in the city of Richmond Heights don't even use it now because of how much of a disappointment that mobile app was. So when you take that and some of the departments, mostly Parks and Rec, like one of their needs was the ability to communicate via SMS text messaging with the new platform. Mitel can't do that. Another one that came out as a requirement is e-faxing, or like faxing via email, and that's also one Mitel doesn't do. Where we go to connect, it's kind of neat. You actually get one phone number. You could text from the phone number, fax from the phone number, call from the phone number, and the price is much more simplified. It's one cost, and you get all of those features instead of buckets you have to pick from to put the system together. So while it wasn't the cheapest cost solution, it was the cheapest cost solution that met all of those requirements. GoToConnect was. Of course, that's my recommendation at this point would be for those fiscal year 25 approved funds to move forward with GoToConnect through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative.
I have just one question,
Yeah.
which you sort of answered with Richmond Heights. So they have recently moved to Mitel. Has Clayton replaced their phone system recently? And is there a reason that, I guess there were needs differences in the different cities, so why did you recommend one thing to us versus something different to Richmond Heights a year ago?
The needs, at least perceived needs, are different. And so I'll address Clayton first. We replaced our system in 2019, so it's getting aged at this point. We ended up with a traditional on-premise system like Mitel. It's a via IP office is what we use in Clayton. And while there's a mobile app, nobody uses it because it is just lackluster and problematic. And so when I followed up with these references, the mobile app was a big deal to me to see what that user experience was, and it was all very positive. While it's not on here, for instance, Michelle Boyer, I don't know who her previous employer was, but through conversation with her, she used GoToConnect at her previous employer. She gave it all kinds of kudos as far as the way it worked. And there's a past IT employee, I don't know if any of you guys remember Ricky Green. The employer he went to now uses GoToConnect. So I had a conversation with Ricky Green, and he too gave it very positive feedback on the app, and the administrative piece of it on the back end is much simpler. A traditional phone system, the pieces are very spread out, and it's a manual process to configure a lot of the call flows in it. Where GoToConnect, when we were shown the administrative interface, it's GUI driven, and a lot of that back end process is kind of hidden. I mean, almost think of how AI does things now, and you tell it what you want to do, and it does the back end process for you to put it all together. So even from an administrative and managing perspective, we think it'll be a much easier platform than what we currently have.
Other questions for Larry?
So we have 120,000,
Correct.
was that, but it only cost 54,000 and 24,000 the first year, so we're coming in at about 75, 80,000, or was that 120 for the 5 years?
So no, originally that $120,000 came from the previous phone system and its estimated cost. So like if we would have chosen, and I have a chart here, but if we would have chose Mitel, there's a very high capital upfront cost. It's like $118,000 if you would choose Mitel. But over 10 years, ongoing cost for Mitel is much cheaper than this $24,000 subscription. Actually, it's right at year 6 is where they break even, where Mitel becomes cheaper than GoToConnect, and they cross, and it's those final 4 years, because we assign a 10-year useful life. So those final 4 years, if you look at it over a 10-year period, that's where Mitel gets cheaper. But like this 5-year term, GoToConnect on paper is actually cheaper. for the first 5 years. So we based it on an on-premise system like the current ShoreTel system is. So instead of 120 year one, it's 54,000. So we're like $65,000 under budget year one. And then that 24,000 begins year two.
Right,
And we're under contract for 60 months at that cost.
Okay, so it's just moving the costs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions?
As far as, you talked about you provided a number, would there be any disruptions of, do we have to change numbers for personnel and, or are we able to migrate the current numbers for City Hall?
We would have the same, they're called DIDs, direct dial-ins. We'd have the same numbers. We would just port them over to GoToConnect from.
Okay.
Right now, they're through AT&T is what those numbers are through, but we'd port and like when we did our 10-year ROI, that's another thing. Like we no longer have to pay for SIP trunks here in the city from AT&T because GoToConnect and their data centers provide that SIP trunk connectivity.
Okay.
But it would be the exact same phone numbers. We would port the phone numbers over, and so the phone numbers would not change.
Okay.
Now, I say that if you think about like what I said on how faxing works, well, now if everybody's going to be able to fax from this phone number, each person's going to, have a different phone number than the copier machine that they
Right.
used to use for faxing. But as far as like the city's main numbers or the individuals' phone numbers, they'll be the same.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, so, and that was my question too, that the year one is 54, but then the 24 comes in next year.
Yes.
As an annual subscription for the next 5 years, well, 4 years out of the 5-year contract.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that
okay.
54, most of that costs, quite honestly, are the new handsets that are going to sit on everyone's desk. Is most of that cost, and first year subscriptions, but it's like $30,000 in hardware cost year one, and most of that cost are the handsets, the conference phones, and the handsets that are sitting at each person's desk.
And then the only other question I had was the current hardware right now that we own, would be an outdated system. What do we do with that? Do we sell it? Is it, I would assume we didn't lease it, we bought it.
Yeah, we bought it, we own it. There's nothing that says we cannot try to list it on Gov Deals that meets purchasing policy. My honest belief is you're not gonna get anybody to buy it. Because like I said, unless you have somebody that also is on this old system that's trying to Band-Aid it along the way, because that's what we're doing. We're on eBay buying parts for this phone system at this point. is
Well,
we're
not a
getting
bad
parts for it.
idea to put up an eBay store.
Yeah.
But, or we've got electronics recycling coming up.
But we could, we could list it on Gov Deals and see if we get any bids, and if not, ultimately it would get recycled is what would happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to forward on to the Board of Aldermen replacing the city phone system with GoToConnect.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Appears the ayes have it. Thanks, Larry.
All right, thank you.
That takes us to citizen comment. I don't see anyone new in the audience here. Is there anyone new online, Kelly, or with hand raised? Okay, great. Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.